1, 2, 3, go. Yeah, there's no chance.
Two, one. Well, I'm gaining. So it's been a little over a month now since I purchased this, the 2026 Tesla Model S Plaid refresh. I'll have the specs on screen now, along with the original sticker price, the updated sticker price, as these are actually now more expensive, and the price that I paid. Now, there have been multiple minor updates to the Plaid since its inception back in 2021, and this is the latest, which includes a new front fascia, rear end, ambient lighting, a more comfortable and quieter ride, so on and so forth. And as the S is commonly referred to as the upgrade to the Model 3, a car that I have been daily driving for over 4 years now, I know the platform inside and out. Well, you can see the length of this video. Yeah, I have a lot to say about this car. The good, the bad, the performance, and what it's really like to own this car. So grab a snack if you plan on watching this in one sitting, or check out the chapters down below for easier watching in parts. But let's get started with the first thing you see when you look at this car, the exterior. So when it comes to the exterior and just the overall design of this car, you're either one of two people. You're either in the group that looks at this and thinks, ew, ugly, 10-year-old, outdated, or you're in the other group. You know, as a pretty big 911 fan myself and hopefully future owner, I don't know if I would put the Model S and the 911 in the same sentence together, but some people look at it like that, right? It's a timeless design that they just make slow incremental upgrades to, and they love it. I am in the group that thinks in 2025, this is still a great looking car. I will admit that in the past month and a half that I have owned this car, the design really has grown on me. You know, I still don't know if I think this car is better looking than Performance 3. I mean, I think Performance 3 is just such a good looking car. It just has such a nice front with the new headlights and everything. So I don't know, you're gonna have to give me some time with this car to see if I end up liking it more than Performance 3, but I think I can confidently say that, yeah, I think that the new Plaid here with the new rear and the new front fascia is Tesla's best looking car across their lineup. You know, I see them every day in the garage parked next to each other. 3 looks very simple, if you will. The S, just the front, the rear, everything it has going on, it just feels more character to it. And you know, I still like the 3, I still like the design, but this car, yeah, the design has really won me over. 2 things specifically about the design of the S here that I like over the 3. First is the side profile. I just think that the side profile of the 3 has always just been a little weird, kind of a little thinner up here, then it gets really fat in the back, yet it's not a hatchback. So I think the S's side profile looks so much better than the 3. Like, it just looks like, I guess, a normal car, if you will. And then secondly is the width. Now, actually, the S is not that much wider than the 3, but the way that it displays its width, the body lines, the curves, just the presence it has on the road. As for the wheels, I did opt for the upgraded 21-inch Valerian wheels. These are replacing 21-inch Arachnid wheels for the quote-unquote outgoing Model S and X. Actually, the Model X doesn't get these. They have a different, like, upgraded wheel. If I'm being honest, these Valerian wheels are my favorite wheel that Tesla has ever put out. There's actually caps that come with this that you can put on, is supposed to like aid with efficiency. However, there are multiple pieces, just like if you've seen the warp wheels for the Model 3. They're also extremely annoying to take on and off, and they also scratch your wheel. You'll see back here at the end of a video I did about a month ago, I showed me putting the cap on, and it does scratch the wheel. So you can see it right there. Be careful. To be honest with you, I wouldn't even bother putting them on. Mine didn't come with them on. In fact, I haven't seen anyone's come with them on. So hopefully they're being delivered with them off, but they're definitely not being delivered with the warning of, hey, they'll scratch your wheels if you put them on and off. So that's the exterior and my overall thoughts. Like I said, I'm a big fan of all the new Plaid styling changes on the front, the rear end. If you put a 2014, 2017, 2020 Model S next to this one, I'm gonna know exactly what this one is, simply because I pay attention to the small incremental updates that they make. As I'm going around the car, you'll see that I do have quite a few accessories. So all-weather floor mats, there's the front passenger, stealth PPF, rear passenger a little dirty just because they're doing their job. We got the trunk mat, front trunk mat, trunk well mat, screen protectors. These are all one-off products that we made here for the S, but I will have versions of all this stuff. So these floor mats, which I've been using in my 3 for years, absolutely love them. They're XPE, so they help reject sound coming up through the floor, and as it's an EV, it's a pretty big thing. Super easy to clean, and yeah, just all around, really like them. Like I said, I'll have all this stuff linked down below for the new 3 and new Y if you're interested, and you can use code YouTube, all caps, to get 10% off your entire order. Now, before we get into the interior, 2 other things I really like about the car that I wanted to mention. First, you'll see as we approach, auto presenting door handles. I have 100+ videos on the Model 3, and never once will you hear me talk badly about the door handles. You know, once you learn how to use them, I think they're great. However, coming back now to a more traditional style door handle where you just pull to open has been really nice, just in the sense that no one ever asks how they work. Now, if they get to the car before me, you know, you're walking back, they may look down like, oh, what are your door handles at? But then they pop out and you don't gotta tell them how to use them. But the thing I like about them even more is more specifically at night. You'll see they just went back in here. And in case you're curious, oh, what do? You just tap on them and they'll come back out. At night, when you approach the car, it's not like the 3 where once you push the door handle and the door opens, that's when your mirrors unfold and the dome lights come on. No, at night, and I'll have a clip in here right here. When you approach the car, the mirrors unfold, the door handles present themselves with a light that illuminates the ground of the car on both sides, and the dome lights come on. It's a very inviting, welcoming feeling. Walk up to the car, all the lights come on. It's very, like I said, welcoming. It's something that I noticed that I do really like. And then secondly is actually the glass. I knew it was a thing, I just didn't know it was still a thing. And that's the, I don't even know what you call it. I just call it the rainbow glass. You can kind of see, and I've actually had some comments like, hey, do you have like colored tint? No, that is the Tesla's like rainbow glass. It's definitely more noticeable when you have tint, but what it's supposed to be is when the glass gets wet, now it's really starting to poke through. And it's like this everywhere, like the top glass, the rear glass, the sides over here aren't, but I think it looks really cool. And when you're on the inside, like, you can see here, it looks really red, but then you open the door and it just looks like it's wet, right? So you don't see it from the inside. Like from the outside, this looks insanely orange. Maybe the polarizer on the camera, there we go. This right here is kind of like what it looks like in real life. But with the exterior out of the way, let's talk interior. And what better way to start than with a full opening hatch. You got a huge area to be able to put stuff in. This right here is your privacy cover, which we'll take this out for just a second. Sadly, unlike new Model Y, which has a spot for this to be stored in the bottom, there's not a spot for this to be stored. Right here, you can hit the seats from these 2 buttons here. There's also buttons right there that you can push, and that's actually how you do it from the front. You reach and you like use your thumb, but right here, as you can see, I'll hit this, I'll hit that, and they don't auto go down. You know, I wish they did. Here, put that seat down, and then put this seat down. I mean, this is just so much flat storage space. In fact, this is the most flat storage space out of any Tesla that's not like the new Model YL. This actually has more flat storage space than a Model X because the X's captain's chairs don't actually fold down. But here in the S, that's not a problem. Like, I can literally get in here and lay down. In fact, and of course, as you know, with any Tesla, this is not the only storage space. I have a little bin in here with a cover. More storage space down here, and I mean, that's pretty deep. There's not a deep pocket cubby on the right side like there is on the left side here, but there is a little shelf, I guess. Sorry if it's blinding you. You can see. And then of course, in Tesla fashion, there's also a sub trunk. And this sub trunk is actually a little bit bigger than the 3 sub trunk. I have a belt in here. Shout out Attack on Titan. Plate frame, charging adapters, and my whole mobile charger. And there's room for me to put more stuff there as well. What I like, this right here, open this up. You don't gonna fight with it. So you open it up and it slots down right in there. Front trunk here does feel a little bit bigger than the 3s. Carpeted, which is different, and it's like more slanted, which is also different, and it's a slightly different shape. But yeah, you also have more storage space up here. I don't really use it just because it's not powered. If it was powered, I'd probably use it more, but I mean, the rear is powered and it's also bigger, so I just kind of put everything back there. Except for, you know, like smelly fast food. 5 Guys, get a pizza, I'll throw it up here just so it doesn't stink up the cabin. Getting into the back seat here, I am 6 foot, and I actually have my seating in my actual like position. I'm not in easy entry anymore. So this is where I would sit. So this is behind a 6-foot driving position. And yeah, I mean, I think I have decent headroom, pretty much the exact same amount that I would have in my 3. If I'm sitting normally, my head doesn't hit the top, but you know, if I purposefully like try to sit up super straight, like yeah, the back of my head would start to collide because of, you know, how the roof kind of slopes downward. Here's the leg room. My feet kind of just slide up under the seat. Typically when I do have people sitting back here, I will scoot this up a little bit just to give them more room. Knees do collide a little bit, but I'm not like crunched up uncomfortably. Also toward the center, because there's no tunnel running through the car, you can stretch out a little bit if it's just, you know, 1 or 2 people back here, and you got good foot room. Speaking of in the center, you also have the screen, and you can do pretty much everything that you would want to do from the back, right? You can turn on the fan, you can adjust where it blows on you at. It's pretty quick and responsive. You can turn off auto if you want and adjust the fan speed, right? Or you can auto sync with the front. Turn that off. You can also adjust the front passenger seat as long as there's no one in the seat and the car is in park. You can also turn on the seat heaters in the rear. These seats back here do have seat heaters in them. They are not, oh, there's a turn off all button. They're not ventilated though, even though they do have the perforation holes. You can also adjust the music back here. You can't actually search for music. I wish that was a thing. Like I wish back here they had like the Apple Music and Spotify and Tidal apps where you can go in and like search for, just so you can tell your buddies in the back or whatever, just to play whatever they want to play. You also have a theater. You can play games, and you can like wirelessly connect Bluetooth devices if you just hate talking to people, I guess. This is also the updated screen with the smaller bezels. As you can see, super thin top bottom. The 60% piece here is actually pretty heavy. The armrest, it has like wireless chargers and everything in it, which is great, but, and this is the like first kind of thing I don't like about the car, the way that you open it. So if you don't know, this does not just pull down. There's a button on the back that releases it. So, you know, it stays locked, which, I mean, sounds like a pretty good idea. You don't want people, you know, maybe accidentally pulling it down or whatever it is. You know, you would think, okay, cool, you just push the button. Okay, so I'm gonna push the button. Okay, it doesn't release. Okay, well, maybe it's a double push, right? In case someone accidentally, so. Nope, triple? Nope, okay, maybe it's a push and hold. Still nothing. You have to push and hold the button unbelievably hard. You may have heard that. I essentially have to death grip it, pushing this button here unbelievably hard for it to let go. Like I said, these are also wireless phone chargers, so put your phone in there, give it a second, and it will start charging. There we go, right there. However, I've never actually had anyone use these. You know, rear passengers you have in your car, they probably just want a cord. You know, they can still be texting whoever they're texting or doing whatever they're doing on their phone, you know, the age we live in nowadays. So yeah, most people don't actually use this. I'll just plug a cord in here to the rear, the 2 USB-Cs down here, and then they can keep using their phone. Plus, you know, all these chargers in here are like faster charging ports. You also have your cup holders here, carbon fiber, really like that. You'll see more of that in just a second. Second thing I don't like about the car is this part right here. This part feels like I could rip it off. It feels so flimsy and cheap. Like, look at how this bends. And I mean, it creaks and it just feels like crap. Yeah, I mean, I'm never back here, so these two things I don't really ever notice or remember. Until I get back here, then I remember them. And of course, because it is the 2026 refresh, you have your ambient lighting right here. Now, I do wish, just for the sake of one-upping the 3 and Y, the 3 and Y both have a single strip back here, that the S and X would have added 2 strips, right? One right here, and then just cause, have it continue right through here. I think that would have been a nice little touch. Also, you have the carbon fiber through here, big fan of that. And in addition to the accent lights, you also have ambient footwell lighting that will color sync with whatever your accent lights are. So you can see down here, it's blue. When you're driving at night in the front, like you can kind of tell it's there in the floors, but if you're in the back, you can really tell because this part right here just lights up the floor. And honestly, I just think it adds to the whole trying to not make the cabin feel just super dark and dead. Like it really does make it feel much more alive. It's just subtle enough, they don't overdo it, and I think it looks really good. And then lastly, for the rear seat here is just gonna be this sunroof, man. This sunroof looks so good. See, the problem with 3 is that when you had rear passengers and they would look up, if you're looking up, you pretty much just are looking right at that like center bar that goes through on the 3. Well, here on the S, you look up and I mean, it's just all glass, the whole way through. Looks so good. No one's gonna ride looking up like this. They're gonna look up like this one time and then just go back normal. Last thing here in the rear, and this is something else that I'm not really a fan of. I don't know if maybe I'm doing something wrong, but these seatbelt anchor covers like keep sliding up. So like anytime I look back, they're always slid up. Is there like not a way to lock them down into place? Because you can see, I mean, they just slip right up. I mean, it's not really like that big of a deal. And plus, I mean, it's black, so it kind of matches. Yeah, is there something I'm doing wrong here? You all let me know. Next up is gonna be where you spend pretty much all of your time if you're actually looking at getting one of these cars, and that's gonna be the driver's seat. And of course, we have to start with these beautiful bucket seats. And you know, I think we can all agree that these look, just on design alone, fantastic. I love how the logo up top is in all black. I love how the headrests look. I love how they're still perforated and the look that that gives. I love the Alcantara on the side bolstering and the butt pan bolstering. Absolutely love it. I'm a huge fan of just the overall design of these seats. As for how they feel, how comfortable are they? I originally said that I thought these were a little bit more comfortable than the Model 3 seats. And you know, here I am 2,000 miles later. I've went back to the 3, I think 2 or 3 times now to drive it. And yeah, I stand by that. I've seen some people say that the Plaid seats are way more comfortable. I've seen some people say that the 3 seats are way more comfortable. To be honest with you, I think that they're relatively the same. I just think that the Plaid here keeps you in place a little bit better, and thus that just feels better for me. Also, yes, the seat here is a little dirty, so we're gonna put some of this cleaner on it. Not sponsored or anything. Let it sit for a second and then wipe. You can see down here. Anything that's nice to have is always gonna take a little bit more maintenance, and I will always take this with these beautiful white seats than cream seats. I don't know, I'm just not a big fan of the cream seats. And then I don't really care for the black seats either. These seats are ceramic coated. So, now hopping into the driver's seat where you have just, in my opinion, such a sick layout and view. Like, I think it looks so good, and I think it was my delivery day video at the end. The number one thing about this car that I didn't even think I would really like that much going into it is this right here. This instrument cluster is so nice. And I know that, especially recently, there's been a huge uptick in aftermarket instrument clusters for the 3 and Y. And, you know, I've tried them. I just don't like them because they pretty much just duplicate information that's over here to over here. And this screen does to a certain extent as well, right? Like you have maps here, when you have a destination, and you have maps pop up right here on the left side. So there is some redundancy with this screen, but because this screen is vertically integrated by Tesla in conjunction with the main screen here, it just works and feels and looks just, it's so nice. It is so nice. I absolutely love this screen. This is a question for all the Model S owners out there. I saw that on previous generation, prior to Palladium, there was a way to have your music pop up here on the side. Can you still do that? Because sometimes if I have a, like, let's say I have my cameras up, okay, I can't see what my music is. A misconception with this screen here is that you can actually have multiple things up at once. No, this little music thing you see is actually just like a widget, if you will. And if I were to put that over there and then try to bring my cameras up, it actually just moves the position. So you can still only have one app open at the same time. So if there's a way, or if there's not, in Tesla, if you're listening, make it to where that you can turn on a setting that when you skip a song or just a new song starts playing, it briefly fades in the album artwork, the song name, what's playing, and then, you know, it fades out. This is the number one thing coming from the 3 that I like. And actually, if you look closely, it may look like it just fades in, which I didn't really know how this worked. So here, I'll shine a light so you can see. Right here, you can see, yeah, it's literally just a screen, and you can see the bezels right there. So it's not like all this is screen. No, it's just this little part right here is screen. They have a little piece here that the screen is behind this piece right here. And then the air vents are actually up at the top there. And I actually do find that the air vents in this car, I can angle more toward my face, as the Model 3 air vents come from down low and it like is supposed to try and swoop up towards your face, where this one is kind of already at face level. So this thing just blows straight out and hits my face. As for the screen to the right, I like this as well. It is slightly bigger than the 3 screen. I think 3 screen is 16. This is 17 inches, so like an extra inch. You can definitely tell immediately as soon as you get in the car. It also rotates, which I really like. You can see here. Actually, when I put it flat, it now looks crooked, like it faces that way, just because I'm so used to it facing this way. But you can see there, this is how the original Plaids came, and you can also point it the other way if you want to. I'm pretty sure that I could launch this car from 0 and hit 60 before this thing could I think I could probably hit like 100 before that did the whole thing. But as for the rest of the interior up here in the front, looks really good. I have white here, so the white goes up to the doors. You can see we have the ambient lighting in the doors, along the dash, right? Looks really good. Like I said, these really do just blend in, so if I turn them off, you can't even tell that there's supposed to be a light there. Watch when I turn it on, it just fades in. Just fades in. Now, something that I've said a few times now, and I always tend to cut it out of the video as it just kind of feels like me rambling, but I'm gonna leave it in here because it's something that I really do want to say. I love the fact that you get white on the doors and you still get the trim that extends into the dash. If you remember pre the like interior refresh of the Model 3 and Model Y in like 2021, if you got white, you would get a nice white door card. But then they updated it to where they did the whole, you know, trim extending into the door, and then they just made everyone's Alcantara down through here. With the new 3, they brought the white on the door cards back, but they removed the trim piece. This has always been like the best of both worlds for me, as I liked both the white on the door and the trim piece in the door. New Model Y Performance has that now. So getting out here so y'all can see the other accent lighting, which is on the center console. It doesn't run all the way up, it runs up to about right there, but it does run, it's a little hard to see, it does run pretty much all the way to the back. And then of course, all this through here is carbon fiber, which I'm a big fan of. I know some people don't like carbon fiber. I've always been a fan of carbon fiber. I don't think I'll ever not be a fan of carbon fiber. I know some people say it's overdone, it looks bad. Better look at this center console area here. You'll see that it is a little bit different than new 3 and new Y, right? You push this part up, and if you go all the way up, you'll see the light clicked on right there. But if I were to let it go, it stops halfway right here. So if you want this to be covered up, but you still want to be able to access your cup holders, there you go. Cool thing about this car, the 3 doesn't do this, the cup holders are stationary. If you don't want the cup holders in the way, just push them back. They get right out of the way. And then if you want this to be fully open, push that. Push the included built-in sliding tray, by the way. And you have a huge opening just to put a ton of, and you see I have a ton of crap in here. I have a race box that fits down in here. I have, you know, full-on sunglasses, like with their holder. I have it plugged in, and put that, and then that. Now you have nice little storage space up here. You know, keep your wallet or keys in there so you quickly grab them. Put drinks in here. Drinks fit just fine. And then if you want to fully close it up, you can. I also really like that how if you get white interior, your armrest is also white. Looking down in here, same thing, tons more storage. This is where I keep my Huggies, my unit in. I don't even know. Why do I have a, oh, it's shout out dry protected. Yeah, so big space down in here. This is where I put all this crap at. And it's really weird because, you know, I talked about that back piece back there being super, feeling really cheap. This is super solid. So this doesn't move or creak at all. And it's just magnetic. Speaking of magnetic, in case you're curious, no, the glove box did not get updated. It's still the same glove box, still opens the same, is not magnetic, which I know some people, they don't like the 3's magnetic glove box, or I guess the Y now, but this is still just a normal one, it latches in. This is just like the 3's glove box, it's like a shelf. Though, if I could change it, I would change it to Cybertruck's glove box. I love the glove box. It's essentially a glove drawer. I also wanted to mention the wireless charging pads. These are not as big as the ones on the 3. You'll see here, I'll put my phone in. This is a 16 Pro Max with a case on. The case isn't like super thick. There's like no wiggle room, which you would think is good, right? Phone doesn't move around. The phone doesn't move around in my 3 either, and it has a lot more space. And what that means is that sometimes when I go to put this in here, I'll hit the top of this and I'll like go to drop it and it like won't go in. I mean, because it just barely fits. I'm actually downsizing to a 17 Pro just because I'm kind of getting tired of the big phone. So this shouldn't be an issue, but it is something that I wanted to mention. Getting back to the drive, and well, what do you see? The yoke. You know, I don't hate it like some people do, but it also doesn't really do anything extra for me besides, you know, just not cutting off the top part of the screen. If you watched last week's video, and if you're curious, I'm gonna talk QA or build quality, no, that was all in last week's video. You can go check that out. But the round steering wheel does, because I did get to spend a little bit of time with it in a Model X, the round steering wheel does cut off the top part of the screen just ever so slightly, though I don't think it's enough that if you really don't like the yoke, like you are gonna be completely fine with the round steering wheel. Doesn't add anything else for me, and I lose the ability to like slide the wheel through my hand and catch it when I want, and maybe be a little bit more aggressive in the corners with the car as I'm just more confident with a round steering wheel. But you know, I don't hate the yoke. In fact, I think for just like cruising straight on the interstate, like what 99% of America is, I think it's just fine. In fact, I think it's pretty great. I actually really like, because you may think that the bottom part is like a round steering wheel. It's actually not. It's like kind of flat down here. And I actually do like the way that my hand kind of fits. This is how I drive, in case you're curious, with the yoke. I drive just like this, or I'll drive like this. And then when I'm turning, what I'll do, and I'm doing to do a left turn, hand like here, and then I rotate it around. And then same thing over here, hand here, and I'll like use this divot with my finger and push it to turn it around. If you have a yoke, you probably do the same thing. I've seen a lot of the people that drive just like that as well. These cars originally came with the yoke, so I kind of wanted to experience it as it was originally intended, if you will. There's always the option to switch back. Also, not to mention, I did get to spend time with the round steering wheel, and it still has all the problems that I don't like about the yoke here, which is the very haptic buttons, right? They're touch capacitive, which I know 3 is too, but 3, at least it kind of feels real, right? Like there is some movement with the button and it feels like a real click, even if it's not, where these very much feel fake. And in fact, it's also on the door handles here as well. I'm not a big fan of. I was hoping that maybe the round steering wheel, they changed that to be more physical, like even if they were still capacitive. Also, the scroll wheels still feel kind of cheap and plasticky. Like the scroll wheel in my new 3 feels miles better than these scroll wheels. And sadly, it's the same exact thing with the round steering wheel. So more than likely, yeah, they literally just took the guts of the yoke, put it in the round steering wheel, and they did nothing extra to it. Headliner, beautiful. Black Alcantara, matches the vehicle too, especially the Alcantara being on the buckets here. Absolutely love it. Prindle for the S is down here. I haven't talked about it. No stocks, no turn signals. Yeah, that's pretty much normal for me, which is why I didn't mention it. But yeah, you just do all the swiping on the screen. Also, the like automatic shifting has gotten a lot better. When I'm like trying to back into places, it actually wants me to go into reverse now. Like when I pull up to my house now, turn right to back in. The second that I reach the apex of the angle, it's like, hey, put your foot on the brake and turn the wheel this way and I'll go into reverse. And it's never done that. It's also doing that on the 3 now, so it was a recent update. And then lastly, for the interior is actually 2 things that, well, it's not that I dislike them. They're kind of just little annoyances. First up are the dome lights. Well, I actually like that they're warmer. 3 has very cool lights. It's the same way in the back, nice warm. But it's actually that these are like physical buttons. And it's not that I don't like physical buttons. I actually am a fan of physical buttons. If in case you're curious about, you know, oh, I'm going to talk about buttons in this car. No, it's because I know some like, oh no, I need the HVAC I can control it. Dude, I literally set this one time and then never set it again. And it always blows in the same direction. Maybe I'm weird, maybe I'm the odd one out, but that's never been a problem for me, the lack of buttons in this car, just because everything is intuitive on the wheel and it's all within a button press away. Now, there was a time period there in like 2022 where Tesla was like multiple button presses deep, but yeah, that's not really a problem anymore. Another thing I wanted to mention here is actually something that every single Tesla in their lineup has, except the Model 3. So this is my first time ever experiencing it, and that is actually bioweapon defense mode, I believe is what it's called. It's this little icon right here. You'll hear the fans ramp up. I believe the reason for this not being in the 3 is because the HEPA filter required, it's just too big to fit in the front end of the 3, but here on the S, you do have it. From my understanding, it's meant to essentially like completely isolate the cabin from all outside debris. Think of stuff, you know, like wildfires, the smoke in the air. But what I've been using it for is just when you pass by somewhere that stinks. And yeah, it works. It kills any smell that would try to get into the cabin. But as for these right here, I don't know. They just kind of feel like crap pushing them. I think I would actually rather have the 3s like, it's not a capacitive button, it's more like a touch sensitive one. Also, this seatbelt, despite this being twice the price as a 3 or a Y, can't be adjusted for some reason. Now, if you're on the taller side, this probably isn't an issue. As for me, this is not an issue, but for shorter people, whether they're sitting here or if they're sitting in the passenger seat over there, yeah, when your seatbelt's on, because you can't lower it, this could potentially eat into your neck. Also, another thing I've noticed is that when I quickly like pull this out to put it on, I guess because where it rubs up against this, it creates static. And yeah, it's just something I've noticed. But now let's talk about, well, the whole reason you buy a car to begin with, the drive. How does it drive? Well, here are my drive settings that I've landed on over the course of the past 2,000 miles, messing around with all of them. I originally tried the preset drive modes, but I landed on custom. Steering weight, light, ride and handling on comfort, preferred ride height on higher. This is pretty much just the preset comfort, but I changed the acceleration and it is on plaid. You can actually put it on comfort and then say plaid. And you'll see that you'll actually stay in comfort, but your acceleration will change to plaid. And you may be wondering, why is everything on higher and comfort and light, but then your acceleration is on plaid? And honestly, just in case you gotta let them know, genuine, that's my honest answer. I ride on plaid in case I'm just on the interstate and I actually want to use Plaid. I don't have to go in and change the settings. And to be honest with you, once you just kind of learn throttle control, you don't even realize that, you know, you're on the accelerator of a 1,000 horsepower car until you put your foot down. And that kind of leads me into the first thing about the drive here, and that is just Tesla's like low end acceleration, pedal feedback, response, all that is so good. And it's been good for a long time. We all know that, and it still rings true here in the new 2026 Plaid. If you've ever driven a Tesla, then you pretty much know how it feels to drive this car. It's just, well, when you put your foot down, this car goes crazy. Now, what about noise? Yes, this car is quieter than the 3. I'll actually have a comparison with a dB measurer right now. Part of it is just the better insulation, better materials being used here in the S compared to the 3, but another part of it is actually the active noise cancellation that this car has. Yes, in the seats, and this is both here on the bucket seats, on the normal seats if you know you don't get a Plaid. There's actually speakers right here that, hang on, let me put that down real quick, little cop behind us. Oh wait, it actually looks like he's turning around and getting someone. Speakers right here in the seats that play a almost, you all know how AirPods work, right? How they like play a sound to cancel out the ambient sound. That's essentially how this works. Now it's definitely not to that effect. You know, you have your AirPods in, push the button, you hear the ding, and then everything kind of just goes down. If you go into here, you can see your noise calibration right here. And what I've learned is that this actually needs to calibrate every single ride. It's not one of those things where it calibrates once and it's good. No, it needs to calibrate every single ride, which can be a little annoying. It used to take really, really long for this to calibrate. Like I swear, I would do a 20-minute drive and it still would not be calibrated. Now though, they pushed out an update. It was like right after I got the car. Then now it calibrates a lot quicker. As you can see right now, it's on 80%. We actually haven't been driving for that long. It seems like it always kind of gets stuck around 80%, but it'll then update to say, you know, optimize for front occupants. And to be honest with you, when it does like fully optimize, I really don't notice that big of a difference. But just in general, right, the car is quieter than the 3. Now, as for the suspension, like I said, I do ride on the higher one, which is supposed to make the ride a little bit more comfortable. Like when I'm riding around, as long as I'm not going like over 70 or 80, because then like the car kind of just automatically goes into a low suspension. When I'm riding around, it'll pretty much just stay on high. And you know, the car does adjust its suspension as you're driving to, you know, help absorb bumps and stuff like that in the road. Yeah, the car is more comfortable than my Model 3, even my 3 being, you know, the standard with the adaptive suspension on the 18s. This car does have a beat. It's not by a lot, right? Like you can still feel the road, but it definitely is more comfortable, which is nice that it's more comfortable. However, the ability to be able to raise and lower this car, mainly being able to raise the car when you're trying to enter a driveway that's, you know, at like a weird incline or a slope, or, you know, you're entering a parking, you know, we've all been there, right? I've scraped my 3 a few times. It doesn't happen often as it's not the lowest car, but this car in the lowest setting is actually lower than my Performance 3. So this car could scrape more often, but it never scrapes. Why? Well, anytime you scrape, you get out, you look, it's like, man, if I just had a ½ an inch more, right? Or like a quarter, I wouldn't have scraped. I barely scraped. And whenever you put this car in very high, it gives you that just little bit more height so you don't scrape. I pretty much never, in fact, I've never scraped in this car. Just like having your mirrors fold based on location, this car will remember the location and adjust the suspension height for that. So now whenever I'm pulling up to my house, because my driveway I would scrape, it automatically knows to go up into very high. Same thing when I'm getting to work, like an incline getting into my parking lot. And same thing, the car automatically raises up, so I never scrape, which I really like. Also, if you put your windows down, it won't calibrate at all. Like, watch this. If I do this, yeah, see, close all windows to enable. Now, I already mentioned that I would not be talking about build quality or QA stuff. I made an entire video last week about that, but I will briefly say, just for people that are wondering while we're here in the driving section, creaks, rattles, vibrations, there's none of it. This car is dead quiet. I've ridden several times, just no music at all, because the sound system in this car is also insane. It's better than the 3. It feels more thumpy, especially up front here. It feels like it's thumping the whole door. And I'm not even like a huge bass head like I used to be. Like I have my stuff turned down here. I mean, it's just on 2 on each. I do like a little bit more thump in a car, but Typically, I'm very a neutral listener when it comes to EQing, but yeah, no, the sound system's great. Whenever I'm not blasting the sound system and I've ridden around with it dead quiet just to try to get the calibration to hurry up and finish, see if I could tell the difference, there's nothing. Like, there's no rattling, there's no shifting of materials. Now, I know the real test is going to be winter. Winter is the real test, but if this car is built anything like the new 3, my new 3, 0 creaks and rattles popped up during the winter. Well, I said no vibrations. I do have that 80 to 90 mile vibration in the steering wheel here, or the yoke, and you know, I think that's more of a tire issue. I've still been meaning to get them road force balance. I did have a few people reach out like, hey, road force balancing is probably what you need, but it could also be the foam in them like came loose and that's what causes it. I'm about to put lowering links on it and the adjustable rear camber arms. Right here, I'll be able to use the front camera, which, yeah, now that I have a front camera, I have been pulling into places more. I still would prefer to back in everywhere, but you know, here what we do, right? We do this, we pull up. Now here's the thing, I never really needed a front camera for this. Now, if there was like a curb or something, I'd be able to see it, right? But you see the front camera, stop right there. What I would do is that if I was pulling in somewhere, I'd actually look at the back camera, and the second I see the line happening, or the second I see the line appearing right underneath the bumper, is when I know that I'm in a good spot, or when I know I'm pulled forward far enough. But in case there was, you know, I have been in a few instances, you know, you get those corner spots. This, you can get really, like, I would never be able to, well, I mean, I could, but I just wouldn't trust myself. But with this, I mean, I can get super, super close. And I really like this front camera. You can also, you know, wash it and everything. I'll do that real quick. I've actually never washed it, so that was the first time it's ever been washed with the washer. But yeah, NVH in this car has been really, really good. The, you know, noise, the vibrations, the harshness. I think, especially when we take a step back, which I know that there's a lot of overlap between this car and the long range. The long range, you're going to want it to be a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more quiet, everything. Like, you're probably chasing a little bit more of a luxury feel. This car being 1,000 horsepower, you know, I give it a little bit more of a break in terms of like, oh, you know, it's not the most quiet or the like most comfortable. If the Model 3, the new Model 3 and Model Y are, well, I would never consider those to be luxury. They're more like premium, right? They're like, I would say that they're premium cars. This, the Model S, I would put it a few tiers above it, right? I'd put it in like the high premium or like the very entry level luxury. Two other things. First, I did not know this car had an energy like bar like the 3 does on the side of the screen over here, but it does. It's actually right down there at the very, very bottom. You'll see here, I'm gonna disengage FSD and you'll see the green, and then you'll see when I accelerate. I did not notice that for probably a month plus after getting the car. Also, I had someone ask, oh, are you like permanent dark mode now? In this car, yes, because, well, if you go into the display and you turn on light mode, it makes this light, but this still stays in dark mode, and I think it just looks really weird. So yeah, for this car, I'm permanent dark mode. And while we're on the topic of driving, let's talk about something else this car can do, and that's full self-driving, or FSD supervised, or whatever you want to call it. I'm in a parking lot right now. We have our destination in. A little hesitant there. Yes, I bought, very well knowing that Hardware 5 is around the corner, I bought a Hardware 4 car. Why did I do that? Well, to be honest with you, well, first and foremost, it's a Plaid, so I definitely did not buy it to have it drive me, if that makes any sense. But secondly, you know, if you go back and you look at all my videos where I owned Hardware 3 cars, you'll never once hear me say Hardware 3 is good enough. You'll never once hear me say that. But I will say right now, the Hardware 4 is good enough for what I want, right? I'm not looking for a car to get in the back seat and have it drive me. It's doing a pretty good job here slowing down with these people. Nice. It is kind of driving in the emergency lane here, but I don't think that's, I don't think you can like park in the emergency lane. And it's giving people on the left plenty of room to go through, which is nice. But yeah, I know ever since Hardware 4 and V13, full self-driving for me, I'm like, hey, honestly, if this is where we stop at as someone that very much still wants to drive cars, okay, nice. I waited for them to go. Now it's going, sweet. Now it's gotta get in this line right here. Oh, and it knows it. Okay, nice. That's good. So it didn't go all the way up and then try to get confused and then try to quickly do a lane change or anything. Green light going through. But yeah, nonetheless, Hardware 4 for me has been fantastic. And, you know, if Hardware 5 is better, that's cool. And hey, we already know that Hardware 6 is also coming. So, I mean, even if you're waiting for Hardware 5, well, you could say, well, why don't you wait for Hardware 6? Right now, Hardware 4 has been good. And according to like all the people that keep up with FSD, V14 is going to be even better here on Hardware 4. So, I mean, I'm literally not doing anything. I'm sitting here talking. Here it goes. Getting a lane change. It sees him slowing down. It's doing a nice low speed, gets over. ran over a bunch of rocks. Man, these tires are so sticky. Like when I ride with the windows down, you can just hear the rocks getting flung up. Now, I did let my full self-driving trial expire, and I was not planning on renewing it as, to be honest with you, normal autopilot is plenty for me. Interstate driving, it takes all that you know, stress off of it still, even without having the full self-driving, just normal autopilot. And then also the other thing I use, you know, the full self-driving for, and that's, oh, quickly got to grab something in the back, turn it on real quick, or, you know, got to grab something on the floor, turn it on real quick. I did renew it just for this video, but yeah, that means I did not buy it in full, and I will not buy it in full simply because I've already said I want to drive the car. Normal autopilot's fine for me, but also, if I'm gonna spend the $8,000 on full self-driving, I'm gonna do it on a 3 and a Y. Why? Because, well, 3 and Y, they're just better optimized with the full self-driving software. Like right now, y'all have seen this thing, it's been pretty good, but just using it here and there, same way I use my 3, I can definitely tell it's a little bit less confident here in the S than my 3. 3 and Y is what you wanna buy if you're wanting the full self-driving. I do like the new updated visualization here. I think this looks really nice. They have changed this a few times. I think now apparently the screen here is running like an Unreal Engine thing. I know that these cars have 16 gigs of RAM again, but they like can't play games like Steam games because like the GPU was like downgraded, but it has the better, I don't know, it's a whole thing. But hey, this right through here looks really good. Now I do wish, and this is just me doing YouTube here, that I could put this over here on this side. To be honest with you, if I didn't record, I think this right here is perfectly fine. It's cool. You can see everything. It expands all the way left and right. You still have your maps over here. Now, one thing, having resubscribed to full self-driving here, that I do like, and you know, part of me is hoping that whenever they do achieve, which I can't believe I'm saying this, if you would have asked me this 3 years ago, I would have told you there's no way they're going to achieve it, but having literally experienced hardware 4 and V13, I think they will now. I am kind of hoping that full self-driving unsupervised becomes the new paid upgrade, and then they just go ahead and give everyone full self-driving supervised, and then you upgrade, and now you can like not even pay attention, you can play on your phone, whatever it might be. I'm hoping that that's a thing. Attention monitoring is not on normal autopilot, it's only for full self-driving, and the attention monitoring is a complete game changer. The fact that I don't have to like sit here and constantly like nudge at the wheel and all this stuff. Also the lane shifting. So whenever you're like passing a big semi that, you know, takes up a good majority of the lane, you want to give them a little bit of space. So you shift over in your lane a little bit. And autopilot didn't do that. Full self-driving does that. So those are two things that I'm not gonna lie, yeah, I really do like about the full self-driving. Applying force with the yoke is a lot easier than a round steering wheel for whatever reason. That's just something I've noticed. Of course, if you're looking at ordering one of these cars now, you don't even have to make the decision whether or not to get full self-driving. It comes with the car as part of the included $10,000 extra forced, you can't unselect it, Lux package that also includes unlimited free supercharging and some like service things as well. I'll talk more about that in just a second. But yeah, all around, I've enjoyed the full self-driving along with the normal autopilot. But now let's talk what everyone wants to talk about, and that's Plaid performance. What's it been like? You know, I haven't really spoken about it much just because it's the same Plaid that we've had since 2021 now. I did take it out and do a little bit of testing just with my race box here. 0 to 60, I got a 2.3 second on the street in Cheetah mode, above 90%. Woo! God, now that's crazy. 60 to 130, I got a 4.9 second, though that run was a little botched because if you're in autopilot, which like when you go into it, I have it set to where it goes into the comfort preset, and then if you were to come out, like break free and then slam the accelerator, if you don't give it like half a second, you'll actually be like still be in chill mode, and then the Plaid will kick in. But still, you know, a sub 5 second 0 to 60 is insane, and that's why I bought this car. The top end, the 0 to 60, it's cool, but you know, every Tesla has a nice 0 to 60, at least all of the like all-wheel drive ones. The real fun with the Plaid is the 60 to 130, and yeah, that 60 to 130 is like, it puts a smile on my face every time. I mean, I had never got bored of my performances, honestly, any of my Teslas. I never got bored of the 0 to 60. And the fact that this, you know, the 0 to 60, this is a quote unquote one trick pony, which I don't really agree with, you know, super low running cost, the car drives itself, it's tons of storage space compared to like what it is. That's a whole thing. But, you know, if that's a one trick pony, and I never got used to it, this is a 2-trick pony, which is the 0 to 60 and then the 60 to 130. The best way that I can describe when you punch this thing from 60 is like if you've ever launched an all-wheel drive, like it's not as brutal as launching my Performance 3 from a standstill, but you know, I owned a long range and that's exactly what it feels like, right? You just, oh God, I just freaking dropped everything. It's insane. And it's the craziest part is the sound. The sound, you hear those motors whirl. Everyone I've had in the car that I've done a pull in, all of them are like, wait, you can like hear the motors work. Dude, the motors are so loud when you just hammer it. I hope and pray that Tesla never adds that like fake artificial crap sound, because I love hearing these motors whirl up. Now this car does also have a drag strip mode. You go into dynamics. I do wish there was a way to program drag strip mode over here, because while drag strip mode, yes, it does precondition the battery to like optimal performance temperatures, and it does also allow the car to go into a cheetah stance, right? So you have like minimal wheel spin, you can get a good launch, because I'm telling you right now, if you launch this car and it's not in cheetah, like you will get wheel spin, which is crazy to think about. It's crazy to think about because of just how good the traction control is on these cars, but that just goes to show how much power is being dumped into the rear. But the reason I want to be able to program it over here is because, at least from my understanding, is that it actually adjusts the like power output, and it allows you to put down the full 1,000 horsepower, but you have to be in drag strip mode. So like, even if you don't let the battery precondition, even if you're not doing from a standstill, just being in drag strip mode here, right? Being in drag strip mode just makes the car faster, especially if you're doing it from a roll, right? I wish there was a way to program it to this little thing over here, just in case, you know, you're on the interstate, right? Little Hellcat pulls up. Also, another thing I noticed is that when you're in drag strip mode, your turn signals disappear over here and they go back to being on the screen. Something that I was able to test the other day, I was able to line this car up along with my 3. This car launches, if I'm not in drag strip mode, prepped, right, with the cheetah stance, this car launches very similarly to the 3. Of course, when you hit 40 miles an hour, you'll go flying by the 3, like the 3 is in reverse. But nonetheless, though, yeah, this car very much launches like the Performance 3 if you're not in drag strip mode. Let's see here. I'm actually gonna have it park itself right here just so you all can kind of see. It's really weird to try and use the scroll wheel to select. Okay. I meant to tell it to do the other spot, but that's on me. This is a handicap spot. I'll pull out of it the second we get pulled in here. Auto park is something I never use, if I'm being honest with you guys. I never use the auto park. Like it's a cool little party trick to show to your friends, but it's way too slow. Lastly, for performance, the track pack. I had people ask, wait, I thought track packs came on the car at delivery. You know, the recent video that Lars and Franz did with Jay Leno, they said it was like an option from the factory. That's not true. At least it wasn't for me. I do know that they had window tint in the like delivery app. When you were taking delivery, you could add window tint. There was not an option to add the track pack. I actually know somebody that got their car before me. They're West Coast. And when they got it in, the new 2026 Plaid, they took delivery and then they pretty much just told them to keep the car and put the track pack on. So they had to do it after the fact. Also, the track pack is now an extra like $4,000. If I do get it, it'll be sometime next year. But now let's talk charging. All right, we're done talking charging. But yeah, that's pretty much charging for me in a nutshell. I get home, I pick the cord up, I plug the cord in, and I go inside and go about my night, my day, and then the next morning, come back out and the car is ready to go. I have a wall connector that is on a 60 amp, so it does allow for the full like max charging speed that this system can provide, which is 48 amps. But I don't actually ever charge at 48 amps unless I'm getting home and I know I'm gonna be going back out that night and like I wanna be a little bit quicker. I actually limit mine down to 32 amps just for the sake of battery degradation, and I just don't need 48 amp charging is what I've found out since being able to charge at 48 amps. Like 32 amps is good enough for me, and that's with charging 2 cars. The 3 is just out of frame right over there. Well, it's actually not here right now, but that's normally where it sits. Even charging both of those at 32 amps, you know, like let's say I drive this car, lady drives the 3, we both get home, we both need charged up. Well, we don't technically need charged up, as I charge this one to 70% daily, and I'm actually planning on dropping that down just because the only reason I charge the 3 up to 80% is because it's a performance, and like I want to be able to actually feel the performance. And you know, the non-Plaid cars, like you can definitely feel it when they're above 80, 70, 80%. Where the Plaid here, it's pretty much fast at whatever speed. Like I can be at 40, 30%, and it still feels insane. I actually made a video a little over a year ago where I kind of got flamed for it in the comments because people thought I was like trying to say that, oh, you shouldn't buy an electric car unless you own a home. And that's not at all what I was trying to say. Actually, when I made that video, I didn't even own a home. I was just saying that I wouldn't own an electric car or recommend an electric car unless you can charge at home, because at that point it really does become more convenient than a gas car, right? You just pull into your house, you plug it in, and then you go on about your day. You don't ever have to leave a little bit early to work to stop and get gas, or stop on the way home at night, which has a whole other plethora of reasons why you may not want to stop at night at a gas station. The S does take a little bit longer to charge than the 3, but that is a given considering the battery pack in this is about 100 kilowatt hours, where the 3 is around 80. I do sometimes wish I supercharged or just public fast charged a little bit more, just so I could talk a little bit more about it, but I just never have a reason to, unless I'm road tripping, and we haven't really done many road trips in the past like year and a half. We do have actually multiples planned for later on this year into next year, so you'll be able to see that, and I'll be able to supercharge these cars more. But I mean, besides that, I never even think about it. As for the cost, no, it does not skyrocket my electric bill. Now, I am in Kentucky and our electricity here is super cheap. Actually, like locals, people around me, when they talk to me about my car and I tell them like, actually Kentucky is one of the best places to own an electric car because the electricity is so cheap. Comes from coal, gladly. Hell yeah, shout out Kentucky Coal for keeping my charging costs cheap. Right now, I'm not on a time of day plan like I was at the old place, so it's just a flat kilowatt hour rate. It is just under 10 cents. So this car from 0 to 100%, which keep in mind, I'm never doing like ever. Like I said, I get home with 50%, it goes back up to 70%, so it's like 20%. But to go from 0 to 100, it would be just under $10. And during the summer, spring, fall, when it's a little bit warmer, it's not super cold out, this car so far has been averaging on these 21s, so it'll get a little bit better when I put the 19s on, but it's been averaging on these 21s about 300 miles on a full charge, maybe a little bit more than that. During the winter, I expect that to come back down to 200 to 250, driving a little bit more aggressively. To be honest with you, this car gets around the same range efficiency as the 3 does. I mean, it's a bigger battery pack, but it's a bigger car. It's also got a lot more power it can put down, so it uses that up a lot quicker. But yeah, I've been noticing pretty much the same exact range I get with my Performance 3, like 3 to 4 cents per mile charging at home is what I'm paying to drive this car. Speaking of charging costs, what about just overall costs? Like how much does it cost to own this car on a monthly basis? Well, I was planning on doing a how much I pay per month for this car video, but I was trying to wait for the new Y just so I could do them both at the same time. But considering the new Y still isn't here, if it's takes any longer, I'm just going to go ahead and make the video on this car, then I'll do a separate one for the Y. So we'll break down everything in that video. So that includes total price paid for the car, how much the lease was, how much the loan was, how much the interest rates were on both of those, because I did a lease and then I did a buyout. And I still don't have any documents from Tesla over the buyout, which is like, whenever I wanted to do the buyout, they were super quick. Like they got back to me same day, called, like told me everything I needed to do. And now it's been crickets ever since. Like I don't have the title. I don't have anything yet. Like I've literally received nothing, and it's been like almost 2 months now. We'll also talk insurance, which is actually, you guys are gonna be really surprised how much I pay for like maximum insurance on this car, because I couldn't believe it. And yeah, just every penny that goes out toward this car. But I can almost guarantee that there's not another 1,000 horsepower car that's as cheap to daily drive as this car is. And then lastly is the Lux package. I've had people reach out asking if I still think the car is worth it, if I'm upset that I missed out on the Lux package, or if I could even like still add the Lux package. No, the Lux package is like an included thing that came out, like it was, I think, about a month after I took delivery of this car. It's an extra $10,000. It has the full self-driving, unlimited free supercharging, and like a service plan as well, and unlimited premium connectivity. No, I would have still bought the car with the Lux package. I'm glad with how mine worked out. I saved the $10,000. I mean, guys, I just said I literally never supercharged. Like that 3, I don't think it's been supercharged or like fast charged where it needed fast charge. Like I've fast charged it for like video footage and stuff, but it's been like over a year. I have yet to take this to a fast charger that's not been on camera for the sake of being on camera. So that is literally useless to me. And then, when I do the occasional road trip here and there, I just have referral credits waiting to be used for that. As for full self-driving, well, I already mentioned before, if I'm gonna buy full self-driving, it's gonna be on the 3 and Y, and I bought the Plaid to drive a Plaid, so no, I'm not really upset about that either. The lifetime premium connectivity, I do think that's a nice thing, but I mean, that's about the only thing I think is nice. I do think it's funny how they have like a 4-year service plan, but yet on the flip side, they always talk about how there is no service cost and how maintenance is like super cheap. So yeah, those are my opinions on the Lux package. It wouldn't have stopped me from buying it. I would still buy it. I mean, an extra $10,000 is still not $250,000 like what the other cars that offer what this car offer are. So I mean, it's not really that big of a deal. I mean, plus you do get a little bit of something in there. If you're a type that you're road tripping a lot, right? Like it probably is really worth it for the Lux package, just because I mean, you have the full self-driving on the interstate, you're probably using a bunch and you're supercharging a bunch. But if you're like me, just round town, occasional road tripper, it just wasn't really worth it. But yeah, that is the new 2026 Model S Plaid. 2,000 plus miles later. I actually think I'm at like 2,300 now. I've been driving the absolute crap out of this thing. Like I drive this thing literally everywhere. 2,300 literally on the dot. It's been just about everything I could have hoped for. It's lived up to all the hype, you know, the performance, the hatchback, the better ride, quieter interior, lovely black headliner. Like it really has. I've really enjoyed it. And overall, I've been very happy with my purchase. As for my thoughts on this car versus the 3, yeah, I like this car more, just straight up. I like pretty much everything about this car more, the interior, the exterior, the ride, the performance. I mean, I would hope that I would like everything more considering it's double the price, but you know, there are a lot of people that cross shop used Plaids with new Model 3 performances. And if you want my opinion on it, well, I already made a video about 3 or 4 months ago where I actually say that, you know, I would think that I would probably just buy a used Plaid if I didn't do this for a living and 3s didn't get substantially more clicks than S content does, that I would just buy a used Plaid, put on a, it's actually funny in that video I said I would put on a aftermarket, more aggressive front fascia, a aftermarket, more aggressive like rear bumper and diffuser, just to make it look different than the long range. And then I put interior lighting in the car, and that's literally what they did with the refresh. So that's one of the reasons I was like, well, they're now offering literally what I said I wanted, so I went ahead and bought it. I still love the 3. I still think the 3 is a great car. Everyone I've spoken to that goes the path of buying a like slightly used S for a huge discount over 3, pretty much all of them I know end up really loving their decision. And I mean, I can see why this car is absolutely fantastic for what I use it for, which is just a daily that is really fast in a straight line. If y'all have any questions, feel free to fire them off in the comment section or hit me up on Instagram. Instagram, honestly, is a better way to get in contact with me. And yeah, if you all are new out here and you want to see more Tesla-related stuff in your YouTube feed, then feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.